Live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast, and now here's the guy who's been annoying you all summer long, Rob Cesternino. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our Wednesday night Big Brother recap down to the final three. 1 week from tonight, we are going to be crowning the winner of Big Brother 18. We'll be kicking off the Millennials and the Gen Xers over on Survivor, and I will be at the live finale to get some interviews with these house guests in said Big Brother house. It's all coming down to it, and a lot to get through. A very busy episode here tonight where we went from 4 to 3. We had the veto competition, and we had a lot of fireworks from the jury house. So to talk about all that and much more, let's bring in our panel. Of course, joining us as he does on each Wednesday, Alex Kidwell. Alex, how are you?
Doing good, Rob. Watching that jury segment, truly the only word for it is, oh!
Oh! Yeah, good jury. Not friendship going on in the jury house. And then here with us is a man. He is not a weak-ass bitch. Welcome, Taran. Taran, how are you?
I'm sorry. You're just so handsome. You're distracting me. Sorry. I can't figure out what to say. You're just too good looking.
Have not heard that before. Boy, so very excited to get into it. We've got the chat room going on robbinswebsite.com, plus our hashtag RHAP. Of course, Friday night we'll be back once again for our special recap show, our recap of the recap from Friday night. So be on the lookout for that, and we can get into some spoilers probably at that time of who's won part 1 of the competition. So as we head towards next Wednesday's finale. So great night for Paul. We really felt like things were really looking bad for the sitting ducks, and it looked like Paul and Victor were up on the block. But if you're a fan of the Paul, if you have the friendship, then things have really turned around substantially here over the last 24 to 36 hours since word first broke from Ms. Cleo that Paul was the final for HOH. Taran, do you believe that it is starting to look like destiny that the winner of Big Brother 18 could be your boy?
I really, really wish that I could say yes, but after tonight, I'm honestly terrified that it's actually James's destiny.
What? Pissed! Why?
Because I really think James is probably going to be sitting there in the end, and an uncomfortable amount of people said that they liked James's game and that they were rooting for him in that jury house. So I'm really scared.
What's
Michelle?
The like, Alex?
Not much. We need somebody with some strategic acumen needs to hurry up and get in there so they can slap some sense into these people.
Yeah. Boy, I would have a hard time seeing James winning over Nicole or Paul. Where is all this support coming from? Like if it's Nicole versus James, that you feel like that this, I could see that more, I feel like, Taran, because I feel like that there seems like to be an anti where Michelle is drawing pictures of Snake Cole, and then potentially if she has support, like this is fascinating stuff. We got to talk about the jury house and the regular house all at once, because it really, that battle between Paulie and Paulie and Devon has really divided the jury house into two. And you just have to figure out that there's no way that Devon and Paulie will be voting for the same person to win the game. True or false, Taran?
That's absolutely what I was thinking immediately after it happened. Like, there is no way that Devon wants to support anything that Paulie is a part of. So I really think that, especially because I think Paulie is definitely voting for Nicole if she's there. And so I think Nicole may have lost some votes due to Paulie, you know?
Yeah.
And knowing that Devon was a big fan and supporter of Victor, having Victor in there who's clearly going to be championing and advocating for Paul, I think that's a factor too.
And it makes it very interesting where there's some obvious scenarios where it's like, okay, Nicole versus Paul, I feel like that we have a good sense of how that's going to go. I feel like that the Paulie side of things is going to vote for Nicole and bring Corey in. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think Paulie, Z, and Corey will all be voting for Nicole. I thought that we'd also have Natalie and Davon, but who knows what the dynamic is now that there's all this tension and the Paulie and Day thing. It's so hard to predict.
Right, but Victor is probably going to be more Team Davon and Big Meech in the jury house and Natalie, and then he's going to talk them into voting Paul that he's in the jury house. So I feel like in that scenario, I feel like the Davon side would go Paul.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that, but I was particularly, and maybe I shouldn't have been surprised by it, but I thought it was very interesting when we got that soundbite from Paulie, and he talks about James played a fantastic social game, Corey did all this, Nicole did all this, so it's really up in the, and he didn't even mention Paul, and I'm like, oh, like he's the one guy we're not going to talk about at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was interesting. I mean, I know Paulie and Paul probably wouldn't be his first choice to win, but they did have a solid relationship, probably better than a lot of people in that jury house. So I don't know, it's dicey.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I've seen a lot of people talk about Victor as, they're definitely like Victor. They were rooting for him, and so he probably has a lot of sway with the jury. I don't really think that's necessarily the case. I think you can be rooting for someone, but that doesn't mean that they have sway over you. And Victor has never been a particularly persuasive person on the show, so I'm not sure he's going to have that much influence.
We've seen Davon a couple times this season talk about how, like, damn, Nicole's playing a good game. Like, I got to vote for her now. But if there's any scenario where Paulie is voting for Nicole, that Davon will talk herself out of voting for Nicole and will vote for whoever is sitting next to Nicole.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way, I think. Like, it just, she will not want to agree with Paulie on anything, I think.
All right, well, let's talk about what happened in the house, and then we'll circle back to the jury house as Corey heads there next. So tonight, the big decision rested in the hands of James, who decided that he was going to take Corey out and leave Nicole in the house, which I feel like it's a bit of a mistake. I feel like that Nicole has a better chance to win this final 3 competition. And I don't know that Alex, did James make a mistake?
I don't know. I mean, ultimately, he didn't make a mistake because that was what Paul wanted to do. So as long as you're going with the guy that as long as you're, following through on your end of an agreement, then it's not too bad a decision. But I don't know. I mean, it could go either way, right? Because like Corey is certainly going to be better at, like, you would think maybe like the first round of the HOH where they like dip in the water and slam against the wall. Like, he could probably last on that for a long time. I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to say right now.
Taran, what do you think about this?
I think that Nicole was a much better choice to send out. I think that not only is she probably going to be better in these competitions, but I also think she has a better shot to win the game in the end. And I think she has a better shot of convincing James to take her than Corey would have. There's a lot of factors that go into this, and I think that almost every single one of them point to evicting Nicole over Corey, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like that Nicole is somebody, she definitely choked tonight. She didn't do a good job. Corey ended up almost winning that final 4 veto, but I do feel like when push comes to shove in one of these memory games at the end of the season, I like Nicole's chances better. I mean, she has a good shot to win the endurance competition. I feel like that Corey would have the better chance to win the second leg of the final HOH, but then I think that she would have the better chance to win the third leg of the HOH, and I do like her better in front of the jury, even though Corey might have more of a popular opinion of him in the jury house than Snake Cole does. I feel like that it was, how could you leave the returning player in the game, Taran?
Yeah, it's frustrating, and it's part of how Nicole has been operating. She is convincing them that she has, and she does. She has a lot of contentious relationships with a lot of the jurors, and so they see her as somebody that's potentially easy to beat. And It looks like Paul may even be willing to take her to the end if he wins this final HOH.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the animosity does appear to be building against Nicole. We see that Big Meech Alex has drawn a depiction of Snake Hole.
Yeah, Snake Hole. It's Nicole's head with the serpent body.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's really stuck from Josiah. He might have actually been the Messiah.
Yeah, he figured out the snake, right? Like,
yeah. Oh, he'll be great on finale night. If Nicole's in the final 2, he'll show up there like, I told you, I called it, that Nicole was the snake. Nobody listened to me. I got kicked out of the Garden of Eden by the snake, and I was the Messiah. And it was like, yeah, you did it. You knew it, Jose.
I
You
died
knew.
in week 2 for all of your sins.
Yes. So, all interesting stuff going on. That Taran, Corey claimed that he was blindsided by this. Is that true? Did Corey not know that James was going to evict him tonight?
No, that wasn't true at all. I think maybe what he was referring to was that he was surprised that James would have done it when he found out about it, but he definitely knew he was going home long before he actually went home.
Yeah. Corey is, again, not great on his feet, not great with words or anything like that. And he's a guy you would love to sit next to. If there's anything sort of like any public speaking that it's going to come down to, Corey is a great guy to be sitting next to, Alex.
Yeah, you got to think so. Although,
unless you're Nicole, right?
On this season, I mean, there's a lot of attractive targets from that perspective. Certainly, I don't think James is an elocutionist.
Yeah, you really feel like that Paul would run circles around either of these two if he can make it to the final two against them, Taran.
Yeah, and it would be more exciting if we had a pre-taped jury questioning where they actually got to articulate any sort of arguments. And it might actually make a difference, but we probably won't. So it probably won't make much of a difference, unfortunately.
Oh boy! All right, let's go back to the jury house because that's where the real fireworks took place tonight, and it all started innocently enough, where we were watching Natalie's tape, and a little bit of a comment from Big Meech about the using the veto. Or Natalie started by saying that, like, I would have used the veto on James. Nobody really asked her if she would, but she really wanted us to know that at home. If she won that veto, she would have used it on James.
Nobody believes me, but I totally would have.
Yeah, she hypothetically would have given up her life in the game to save James, so she gets credit for that. And she also wants credit, I believe, for the hypothetical relationship that she's going to have with James outside of the game as well. So then Big Meech has to throw her 2 cents in. She's like, oh, that's not what Paulie did for Zakiya. And we were off. We were off to the races.
Yeah, she just dropped the golden apple right in the middle, and everyone just goes nuts.
Yeah. So apparently the dynamics in the jury house, where everything was all fine and dandy before Paulie got there, that Zakiya was just one of the girls. At the point where Paulie got to the jury house, Zakiya did not seem to be a fan of his. That I believe. What did she say about him, Taran? Do you remember?
What Zakiya said about Paul?
Here's a clip from when he first got there.
Things come out, so
I had your back.
And
I had your back until I figured out what you were doing.
You were playing the victim for a long time.
Oh,
I get
nobody's
it.
playing a victim. I see where the bitch is.
I see where
the loser is.
I see where the loser
Yeah, he's
is.
here.
I see where bitch is. He's here.
Not Corey.
Yeah, not Corey. But it's all good now. It's all good. But Alex, let's talk about Zakiya. I mean, can she not meet any? Is it that he is the only man? It's like the end of the world scenario. That's like the fantasy of being the last man on earth. You have your pick of whoever is around. Is that the case for Paulie?
Well, certainly the jury house dynamic is, the male-female ratio is certainly in his favor from that perspective. I think with Zakiya, no, I think she could totally, do better. It's just one of these situations where, I mean, if you look at her comic was just like the hottie. You know what I mean? It's like she didn't really bring a personality too much to this season. It's like, yeah, you're gorgeous, but like we didn't really get to see who Zakiya was too much this season. It was a lot of just kind of, I don't know if it was more insecurity or just uncertainty or what, but I mean, yeah, just she really was probably the biggest non-entity of the season.
Taran, can she just not meet anybody in real life? Is she struggling with meeting people? Like, don't we have somebody better that we can introduce her to?
I mean, I don't know. It seems like, if she's attracted to a guy like Paulie, then, anybody that like a normal person might introduce to her might not be her type. I don't know. I feel like I probably don't have a popular opinion about this, but I don't really understand why people are so personally offended at Zakiya's choice. Like, I think it's dumb, but like, I don't understand the fervor, I guess. It's quite absurd in my opinion. And honestly, this fight was just really uncomfortable to me. Like, everything about it got like way too intense for my liking. It was just like, oh man, I didn't want to watch.
Well,
I mean, it
think
was Jerry Springer-esque. Once you get
Yeah.
production out there and everything, wow, man, that was.
I think that the opinion and the reason why people are upset about this, I think that we have some unequivocal evidence that empirical evidence even that Paulie does not respect Zakiya. That Paulie is not a good thing for Zakiya. He doesn't care for Zakiya. And she may or may not have feelings for him that are not reciprocated. And there seems to be exhibit A, B, all the way down to exhibit Zakiya of that he does not care. He does not care for you. He doesn't like you. And he is using you just for the physicality of the relationship. And she appears to be blind to this fact and under the belief that this is no, that's not it. That's not the case.
I guess like the way I see it is like if it's clearly not out of some sort of like motive to protect Zakiya from her choices, because you don't do that by berating her, right? Like, I don't know. It's a little much for me. And I can understand, like, we can make fun of it here, and I think that's really funny, but I think it's gotten really extreme in some places, and it's just not something I'm super comfortable with.
Well, I think that also there's a frustration there for the Bridgets and Davons of the world of like that Zakiya got to the jury house and it was like, oh, he didn't use the veto on you. See, I told you this guy was no good for you. I told you. And she's like, you're right. He was no good for me. I'm so stupid. And then she went back to that guy. And I think it's the sort of thing also where if like your friend has a breakup, and then if you never talk bad about your friend's ex until like they've been like not together for like a year. Because then when they get back with that person, it's very awkward. It's like when you say like, I knew that she was nothing but trouble. I knew this was never going to work. You could do better than her. And then when they get back together, it's very awkward. And that's what's really happened here. And then I think they bring the cameras out, and then you do have people like Davon, who I think does like the screen time that also comes with this. Like they know that there may not be a jury segment if they don't get into a big fight like this, Alex. So I think that that's part of the formula here as well.
You're using far too much logic right now, Rob. This is unacceptable.
So I think that's a heightened situation. I think there's frustration there. But I mean, Paulie, comes off looking terrible in this. I mean, is he going to get in a fist fight with Davon, Alex?
I mean, yeah, right. Like, what are you doing, dude? I mean, at the moment you're like face to face jawing off with a woman, like you've got to look at yourself critically, man, and just wonder what the hell you're doing in that spot.
Yeah, what's going
literally,
on
like
here?
he's antagonized her to the point where she wants to hit him, and he's got to put his hands up, and he was like because she was so close, he's like putting his hands up his upper dress. Did you notice that? It was all uncomfortable for me. I was just like, this is weird.
That was.
I just wanted to like go away. Just go away.
Make it stop.
Yeah,
it was so bad.
Why are mom and dad fighting?
It wouldn't hurt if Zakiya could say something also and not just be like,
Yeah, just like put her hand on his arm, like like the smallest amount of token effort.
Yeah, or at least, hey, Davon, I'm a grown up. I can make my own decisions. Or hey,
right.
Paulie, knock it off. That's uncalled for. Stop it. Look, Davon, you're my friend, and Paulie, that I can't keep my hands to myself in this jury house right now. And so whatever. But now she's just like, oh, this is too much. So it's crazy. It's crazy, and it's just. I don't get it. I don't get anything that's going on in the jury house. Big Meech and Bridget got a real show.
Yeah, Big Meech's reaction was like definitely the internet's reaction in that moment.
Yeah, she loved it.
Also, if you ever go back and watch this, if you have the courage to do so, I think Bridget had a really funny reaction as well. She's just like diving out of the way of Davon getting closer and closer to Paulie.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
it's like, oh man.
And then we got to see a lot of behind the scenes of the jury house and just how much production is going on there. Alex, were you surprised that there were that many production people at the jury house, Alex?
I'm not surprised. I'm just excited that they finally showed you like what that really looks like. I knew the handlers were swarming that place like ants in the regular house, but we didn't have the confirmation. Now we do. So this is just confirming what I believe I already thought I knew.
Taran, what'd you think of the guy who was like the first responder on the scene? Were you sort of thrown off by like, who's this guy?
Honestly, I was like curious as to why he hadn't stepped in sooner. Like it was getting really heated, and somebody needed to step in there. But yeah, I was definitely like, wait a minute, is this somebody we know? No, this is not somebody we know. This must be like Davon's handler. Yeah, it's definitely kind of jarring to see that on Big Brother, where we really don't ever see other people, especially production people. So it definitely a strange. It reminds me of the season finale of Worlds Apart, where Jeff showed the raw footage on Survivor. It was a little weird.
Do you think any of those handlers doubled as internet trolls earlier in the summer?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I do like Davon's new catchphrase of, "Is this who you lay with? Is this who you lay with?" It's very like Old Testament. I like it. You lay with him.
Yeah, what a Jezebel.
Yeah, so that's good. I do like all that stuff. All right, and Bridget had the quote, "You make my skin boil." You make my skin boil. Paul,
Bridget is so good at being like a little instigator. She just like says these little cute things that are just so infuriating to Polly.
Yeah,
it's really funny.
Make my skin boil. Okay. So then back to the house. Let's just talk through this final three and where we go from here. So for Paul, for your boy, what a run he's on. He is white hot. Alex, do you feel like that this is when you've seen somebody in the past in this spot, winner of the Final Four HOH, winner of the Final Four veto, all of the momentum in the game, does that normally carry over into the final three, which is now over the course of a week?
Yeah, I would think so. As far as competition goes, like the final three comps are always pretty much a crapshoot. I do I hesitate and I think a little bit about the Godfrey situation. It's like if could Paul get there by his own hand and then somehow just not receive any of the respect that maybe the fans think he's entitled to. I think that's not out of the realm of possibility.
Mm-hmm. It's funny too about Godfrey, because he also tweeted this thing about like, the jury might not vote for Nicole now because of the Pauly and Day fight. And I thought it was funny that he was tweeting that because, as we know from Jordan, he was on the receiving end of that with Bruno campaigning too hard for him in the jury house. So it really could have a lot of analogs to Godfrey in the end.
Yeah. Alex, do you feel like Paul has a good shot to win this final three HOH?
Yeah, I gotta think so at this point. I mean, he's really surprised all summer. Really, he's proved that he's capable in competitions that we wouldn't expect someone who's only really watched a half season of Big Brother to be good at. But that weather competition, he was the only guy that stayed up all night to nail that thing. This day's competition, the baseball one here, which. Side note, real missed opportunity here. I feel like last year they did judo or karate and they brought in Caleb. Why was Devin not hosting this thing?
Yeah, should have had Devin come in.
Terrible.
Or at least Ginger Ninja.
At least.
Come in. Yeah. And so then, Taran, if Paul can somehow win this final three HOH, who does Paul want to sit next to? Does he want to sit next to James or sit next to Nicole?
It's hard to know because he has promised them both that he's going to take them, and he's made final two deals with both of them, which I think is really dangerous at this point, especially with a player like James. And it seems as though he's willing to take Nicole or he's willing to take James. I think maybe he thinks that he can beat either of them at this point. So I'm a little concerned because I feel like he may end up making a decision that costs him the win.
Oh, no. So what is the decision that would cost him the win, Taran?
Well, I thought it was taking Nicole over James, but it might actually be taking James over Nicole. Okay. I don't know at this point.
So taking James over Nicole would cost him the win.
Potentially.
I don't know.
It's so hard to tell, especially.
Let's just run it through our jury house simulator here for a second. So if it's Paul versus James in the final two, where does the Zakiya and Pauly contingent go here?
Now I think James. Based on what Pauly said, he ignored Paul's game and said James had played a great social game. I didn't necessarily expect that, but I heard it.
See, but Big Meech is going to vote for James, and then Big Meech is attached to Bridget, who's attached to it. Like It's
Mhm.
sticky.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
It maybe, I mean, like with somebody like Natalie, who's just like definitely for James, it might be a thing where it's like, oh, Paulie's going to vote for James. Great. Because we love James anyway. As opposed to Nicole, who they don't really want to vote for, but they respect her game. I feel like that's a lot more likely to flip against Paulie, especially because Corey will also be on his side as opposed to on the other side as well. So there won't be two ends to that sort of battle. So I definitely could see it going that way.
I could see it going the way where if it's James, like James gets taken to the end by Paul, where Corey and Nicole might not have love for James after James ending up not exactly, I guess he did he not betray? He didn't really do anything. So really could come down to it, but they did the
Nicole
from
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Nicole did say on the feeds that if it was between Paul and James, she would vote for Paul. She feels like James has done nothing. Corey agreed. So there is definitely a chance that Corey gets into that jury house and starts talking up Paul to Paulie and Zakiya. And then at that point, they flip their vote. And this is why I'm saying like it's so difficult to predict at this point. So many people are up in the air here.
Yeah, Paul could have a path to victory that's Corey, Nicole, Paulie, Zakiya, and Victor. I mean, he could this is like the presidential election. We could talk about it like he could have a path to victory that way. He could have the path to victory where it's like the Victor, Davon, Bridget, Big Meech, and I don't know. I think you need somebody else there. But it's interesting. Could go either way.
It's really jury votes are usually very, very difficult to predict. They're extremely high variance.
Put on that side. Yeah.
And even with the information that we get, it's so hard. It's so hard to predict. And it usually looks obvious after the fact, but beforehand, it's usually really difficult. And I feel like this season in particular, it's even more difficult than usual. It's so crazy in that jury house.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is this season in particular, right? Because you've got two returning players in the mix. You've got a guy who was nominated 6 times. You've got a guy who played this, who's considered to have played a strong social game. You've got Nicole, who's won a lot of competitions, who's, you've got the showman's factor. There's a lot that's unique about this season relative to most seasons. And yeah, if you look at the final 3 last year, like Vanessa, Steve, Liz, like it did, even though ultimately it seemed more clear after the fact, it did seem, at least going in, there was some kind of hierarchy there where it's like Vanessa should beat them both, Steve should beat Liz. So this summer is really a bit different.
Okay. For James, then, if he can win this final 3, what does he want to do, Taran?
For James?
Yes.
This is, again, he has talked about one more competition for either Paul or I, and I will make it to the end. And I assume that means that he is thinking about taking Paul at this moment. But here's my worry, which is that, as I mentioned, Paul has promised both Nicole and James a final 2. And I think I worry that Nicole is going to be able to go to James if, for whatever reason, he wins or comes close to winning this HOH and say, oh, did Paul promise you a final 2? Because he promised me a final 2. And at that point, James will be like, oh, no way. And they'll talk about, oh, man, Paul is the mastermind. We can't take him to the end. That's what I'm concerned about for Paul. But it does seem like right now, James is considering Paul over Nicole.
Boy. All right. And then, Alex, then Nicole will take James to the end?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah, I really haven't seen, like, she's had conversations with Paul, but it does seem like she's definitely more loyal to James, and I think she is less wary of James in a final 2 scenario, as she should be.
Yeah, she thinks she can beat James handily, and she's very concerned about Paul. Despite their final 2, she definitely will not take Paul at this time.
Yeah. That if Nicole takes James to the end, though, isn't she sort of like, she's very aware that James has been such a popular house guest that she doesn't think that because of his popularity, at least coming into this season, Taran, that the jury might be swayed to vote for him? Or is she only thinking about this from a Big Brother 18 perspective?
I think she's definitely thinking more from an 18 perspective. She's seeing him as a Victoria, that he basically didn't do much this season, which is kind of true, but also kind of not true. He has done some things, and he has a decent social game with a number of the jury members. So I think that she's underestimating James's chances. And based, again, on what we saw tonight, it might be even more than I initially thought. So this definitely could be like it's same for Paul. This could be a game-breaking decision if she chooses the wrong person here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible that Natalie, Michelle, and Bridget are still really close now in Jury House, and that those three will vote for James over either of the other two. So, I mean, yeah, that's carrying 3 right there. That's only need 2 more.
Okay, let's talk about something that I think that we need to talk about, and this could be what tips the scale in Paul's favor. This is something that I caught earlier this season, and I saw posted again today on the Big Brother Reddit. And let me give credit to Rob Anders 8, who started this thread. I don't know who posted the initial thread, but let's go back and take a look at the memory wall this season. If you notice, going back into Big Brother 16, we have where Derek is in the first spot in the second row on the memory wall. Then in Big Brother 17, Steve occupies that same exact spot on the memory wall, the first spot in the second row. And if you take a look at the Big Brother 18 memory wall, this is not Photoshop. The person who is occupying that line is your boy. Oh! Yes. Taran, are you buying the prophecy?
I wish I could, but I feel like this is the Survivor Second Chances like cast photo again, right? Like
no, but that was only Vetus was in the right spot. This is 2 seasons in a row, and it could be 3.
Well, wasn't it 2 at one point if you changed like the criteria?
Yeah, but this is I mean this is like that was forget that. This is real, Alex.
Yeah, this one
this is
one
real.
has some magic.
Yes.
So Spencer was in that spot in 15 as I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's only the last 3 years. 3 is a trend.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, column 1, row 2 is it's where you want to be, sure.
That's where you will be. Boy, there's gonna be so much pressure in OTT for whoever goes in that spot.
Well, if Paul wins.
Yeah, this is fantastic. The cast photo, the cursed photo is back. So we'll see. Look at where is James? That he's that Natalie is kissing his picture. Is that what's going on here? I mean, at least Johnny Mac was in that spot in BB17, but Amber is in that spot in BB16. So that's no good. And then where is Nicole? Nicole is down in the spot underneath Paul, which in BB17 is the Coach Audrey spot. And then Christine from BB16. That's no good either. You want to be in that winner spot. # winner spot.
You know, what would be genuinely funny is if Paul did win and this kind of got around and the person in that spot in the next season was targeted because of their spot on the memory.
Yes. Oh, look, he's in the winner spot. We have to put them up on the block. We have to put them up.
Hey, Corey is in Nicole's spot from 2 summers ago. How about that?
Oh boy, and he's in her. Let's get into the questions. With Scott has a bunch of them that are fired up and ready to go. Boy, I couldn't believe it, Alex, tonight that it was such a baseball themed night. That it was finally the night that Corey got to first base with Nicole. We've been waiting all summer long. Will they or won't they? What's going to happen? There's so much tension. But finally, for the very first time, they locked lips. First base.
Yeah, I actually I caught myself talking to my feeds earlier because Nicole said something. She's like, "Do you think America has seen us kiss yet?" And I said, "America has seen you kiss pelvises, Nicole." Stop it.
My God. Wow. Oh, there you go. All right. So let's kiss pelvis. I never even heard that term before.
Yeah,
I think I just made it up.
That's very graphic. Okay. Percy Jackson fan says, do you think it was smart to get rid of Corey over Nicole? Taran says it was not smart. Alex, are you in or out? Not smart?
Yeah, I agree. I tend to want to get rid of the people who are thinking more often and more intelligently about the game, and I do believe that's Nicole of that duo.
Taran, from the feeds, could you tell, did Paul have any insight into what James's decision was going to be, or was this 100% James?
Oh, it was actually 100% Paul. James was saying, I'm going to give this decision to Paul. He is making the decision because he is the one that kept me safe, or he's the one that is keeping me safe. And Paul was saying, we need to get Corey out. So that's what James went along with.
Oh, I have a text message from Tyson Apostle. Was that the right person to evict? What should I say to him?
No.
No.
Okay.
I love that Tyson knows what Big Brother is right now.
No, I don't think so.
He was like over at somebody's house and it was on, and now he's
No.
Well, he was talking about it on News AF.
Yes. Tyson's watching his Big Brother. All right. Goob 1115 says apparently James said to a camera that he'd take Paul to the final 2. Do you believe him? Should we believe James?
This is what what I was talking about earlier, where like right now it seems as though he is leaning toward that direction, but there's a lot of openings for Nicole to dig into and change his mind.
Yeah. Is there any precedent of how this works with James is in a situation? So it's James, another guy, and a girl. Do we know how do we have any sort of precedent where we can, does this work out well?
Well, according to James earlier tonight, when he was talking to Corey and Nicole on the block, he said, I had real fun doing the showmance with y'all this summer. So maybe there has been a situation we're unaware of. I don't know.
Okay. Tyson wrote back, I think Nicole's the bigger threat to win. I feel like Corey is a doofus and easy to beat in the finals. Yeah.
Tyson knows what's up.
Yeah,
there you go.
He knows what's up. All
he
right,
knows who's a mover and who's a filler this season.
Steven says, will Paul be in the top half of your winner rankings if he manages to win the game? All right. This is an off-season podcast in the works. All right. Paul as a Big Brother winner, and we'll officially just put the hex on him. The official jinx is on him at this point. Pissed? Yeah. So, Paul, is he a top 5 Big Brother winner, Alex?
No, not for me.
No. Top 10.
Yes.
Top 10 Big Brother winner?
Well, it depends on your ranking, right? Like, if you're ranking the player, like, how would this guy do if we were to cast all these, to throw them all in a house? He's in my top 10. If we're just ranking the winning game and only looking at the season, I can't, because Victor being back 3 times, like, 2 of those should have been Paul going home. Like, we get that. You know what I mean? By proxy, if Victor's not there, the next person on that side every time would have been Paul. So, I mean, it almost does kind of put him in that a little bit in, like, the camp of winners who were benefited by twists.
Okay, camp of winners benefited by twists. Okay, that sounds like a season. We'll bring those people back.
Summer camp.
Yeah. Okay. Byron says, does Nicole know what literally means? What did Nicole say that was literally, Taran? Do you know?
I don't, but I'm pretty sure that the definition of literally has been expanded to include things that are not literal. So I think she's good, actually.
It gets thrown around quite liberally these days, and it's not just in the Big Brother house. I blame Rob Lowe on Parks and Recreation.
Okay. Gets thrown around quite literally. Katie Wallace, was that the best jury segment we've ever seen? Yeah, Julie Chen called it the most explosive jury house that we've ever had. First off, Taran, is that hyperbole?
Probably not. That's one of the more explosive scenes I've seen on Big Brother, especially in a long time. Like this sort of thing used to happen a little more often in the earlier seasons, but it really hasn't happened a lot recently. Like to the point where like producers need to get involved, their handlers, and we're seeing stuff that we shouldn't, and people are like in each other's faces. Like honestly, this to me was worse than the Willie Hantz headbutt. Right?
Worse than the Willie Hantz headbutt.
Well, we haven't seen anything like it since then. That's definitely the most recent comparison that I would, you've also got, I guess, Janelle and Bo were face-to-face at one point. You had Michael and Cappy that same season. But, yeah, those confrontations, they've been few and far between lately.
Let's say, what's the precedent on something like this? Let's say, hypothetically, let's just say that Davon is like, you know what? I've had enough. And she just cold cocks Paulie in the face. What do we do? Do we remove Davon from the jury house? Does she get... Do we like have to keep her like in the Hannibal Lecter mask at that point and just hold her there? Do they like sequester her and then we'll just see her on finale night?
I better believe I'm pressing charges.
Yeah.
I think she's probably out of jury and probably not casting a vote. They probably send her home.
I'm 100% blown away.
Yeah. So that would be wild. That would be wild.
Do they give Frank or Spot?
Yeah.
I decided to rattle her.
Yeah, maybe Paul was just deciding to rattle her.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to make a name for yourself, go ahead and punch someone in the face in jury house. You'll give your spot to America and you'll be remembered forever, just like Shima.
Applauded as a hero. Okay. Taylor Martinez says Julie shaking her head after the jury segment was so wonderful. When was the last time that the Chen bot showed that kind of emotion? Yeah, Taran, I think that Julie was like you. She was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, she's like very who was she more mad at? Was she upset with Paulie? Was she upset with Davon?
I imagine she was upset with all of them, but Paulie obviously number one on that list.
It's got to be the worst look on Paulie, man.
Yeah.
No matter how you slice this, you're always going to come out looking worse.
You
and
could bring
that's
up
why he's an
Davon's
idiot.
daughter.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
I mean, like the last time. I mean, Julie doesn't show much emotion. Obviously, season 3. I think when she whacks Marcellus over the head after he doesn't use the veto. That's probably the best Julie moment. I think she was a little upset at Natalie earlier in the season. I think that she was obviously upset with Aaron a few seasons ago. So she does occasionally show this sort of displeasure at some of the house guests.
But do you think that that's actual displeasure from Julie Chen, where she's like, I have these people on my show and they can't even behave themselves in the jury house, or she's like, oh, this is a damn good show. This is a damn good segment.
This is a damn good steak. This.
I think she's got to be happy that stuff is happening, right?
It's a very realistic possibility, I think. And while you're on that clip, get Outback in there with some big bloke beers and calm these people down.
That beer? You think that's the answer?
Beer, blooming onions, and mateship, Rob. This is what we need.
I think they need Ziggy Marley in that jury house right now.
No, Paulie needs the wings to feed the biceps.
No, the wings were from the Jersey Shore.
Oh, it smells worse than a porta potty at the Jersey Shore after an all-you-can-eat wings competition. I mean, this thing is disgusting.
Yeah. No wings. No wings, Taran. That's the last thing we need at the jury house.
to Uncle Austin's cabin.
Yeah. Today has been rough, says painting, homemade necklaces, and tie-dye shirts. They just sit and do crafts all day in the jury when they're not fighting. Yeah.
And Paulie's just watching them do crafts.
He's working on different activities. He's working.
I think they also get Netflix there. So.
So there's Netflixing and chilling going on, Taran?
Maybe.
Look, I just gotta Netflix and chill with my girl Z for a couple of days, and then we'll see what happens when I get back home to those typical Jersey girls.
And what was the deal with that last time they all were sitting around the table? Like, Paulie's grilling, but he's only grilling one burger, and everyone was like sitting around with plates. Like, were they expecting him to make them burgers too? Like,
he made that
good steak.
Yeah.
He made that comment that was like, oh, man, this grill gets a lot of use, huh? Which seemed very sarcastic.
Yeah. This grill is getting a lot of use that I'm cooking all the time in this jury house. I'm the only man here. I'm the man of the jury house. I got to cook on this barbecue for all of these women here in this house.
What would they have done without me?
Did you think this burger was for you? Or this? But no. I'm sorry. This one is for me. And this one is for number one right here. And this one, boom!
Alex is kissing his biceps for you listening to the podcast version, and Taran has lost it. Taran is crying. Okay. This is from Thomer. Isn't Davon a favorite to win AFP? I can't imagine that was the way to campaign. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Well,
It couldn't hurt.
Who's running the Davon AFP campaign? She's got like Paul Manafort is coaching some sort of crazy strategy for Davon at this point.
Hey, maybe she's doing the Trump strategy. You know?
I don't know. I don't think that's the right way to go.
I'm just waiting for the first Big Brother player to hire James Carville as a strategist.
That'd be something. All right. What's this? This is from Gregory McBean. Tweeted this earlier today. Why do we think that the last 5 HOHs have gone home right after their reign? Is this a coincidence or not? So this is a chart. Let me see if I could follow it. So Victor was HOH, and then he evicted Paulie, then he went home. And then the HOH was half Meech, and then she went home. Nicole did not go home when she was HOH. Then Victor was HOH again, and then he went home. And then Corey was the HOH. But I think that's sort of a common Big Brother thing more so than it's a BB18 thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, Corey outlined it tonight, right? Corey said, wow, in this game you go from 0 to 0 pretty quick, huh? Yes, yes, you do. That's the game.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's why throwing competitions is often a good strategy. And especially if we see a lot of this, I think it is somewhat of an indicator of poor gameplay. They're not they're not capable of handling the power correctly, and so they keep putting themselves in positions to be evicted the very next week.
Yeah, it's
And
very
that's the
hard to
other
have the power in this game because one person always stays that you screwed over.
Yeah, and especially if if you create some kind of house dynamic, which existed for a lot of this season, and then you went ahead a household and you take out the house's target, it's like, well, now the house needs a new target, and didn't you just win power, and don't you look appetizing right now,
Yeah, like something on that delicious barbecue that Paulie was working on. I will say that this was a rather tumultuous season, that it really never was, it just like went back and forth a bunch of times. And we don't always get that. Better than where it's just like sort of like one big alliance just sort of like goes after one person after the next, like a Big Brother 16. So at least we had that this season. So Stephanie says, is this the shortest final three in combined feet? Well, Davon is only talking to people that are over 6 feet. So Davon will not be talking to anybody in this final three. Is this the shortest average height of the final three? Is there anything that's coming to mind?
Coming to mind for me is BB11,
Yes.
Kevin, Natalie, and Jordan.
Yeah.
None of those three were, they were all relatively petite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's the closest I can think of.
well, last season, what's how tall are the Nolan twins?
I think they're relatively statuesque. They model, so.
Statuesque. What do they model?
Apparel. I don't know.
Snapchat models?
They model something.
They're on the website for Bullies Reality, Rob. They're posted.
Oh, the t-shirt models. Oh, why didn't you say so? Oh, okay.
I don't often see them in t-shirts, to be honest.
Kayla Kelly says, am I the only person who finds Day completely intolerable? I know some people are really anti-Day after tonight, that they did not care for how this ultimately went down. I could definitely see that opinion as well.
Yeah, no, I get it. And, the counterpoint is this, right? We've heard that, that the girls are like icing out Zakiya. We don't know what that looked like, right? We don't know, like, maybe for the last 2 weeks, they've been like just getting in little digs at Paulie. I'm not going to say that's an excuse for him to do what he did, but maybe that's context we don't have. Maybe,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard to say. Davon did not carry herself great, but Paulie has been pretty terrible this whole season. So if she was doing it to anybody else, that I would say, boy, Davon really way over the top. But because she did it to Paulie, I'm willing to look past any sort of poor form on Davon's part.
Yeah, especially once you bring the daughter into it. It's like, yeah, of course she's going to lose it, man. That's below the belt, right? And
it's not a good look for a guy who is looking like he is ready to fist fight with a woman.
No.
That's probably not strong. Look, that's my Callie of Fury charm. I'll fight any woman that wants to fight me. I don't care. I was bred for this.
And like we talked about earlier, when he finally decides he's not going to fight, he puts his hands up, and then he looks like he's going for a grab or something, so it's not any better.
Yeah.
He can't win, this kid. He needs to just go to bed for the next week. And
that's what I'm trying to tell Zakiya this whole time. It's time to go to bed, Z. Let's catch up on some Z's in my bed. John Radich said, returning player has always made the final two, final three on Big Brother and Survivor. Can you talk about the clear implicit advantage? So is that true? A returning player has always made the final two, final three on Big Brother and Survivor?
I do believe it is true, actually. It's something that I think...
What about Big Brother 11?
Well, okay, that's actually fair. That was only one person, though.
So?
And they had to coup d'etat him out of the game.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you got me there. It is something that does happen very often, though. I think it's very clear that when you are a returning player, you do have advantages. You have the advantage that people know who you are, and if you're not somebody like Dan or Will, that's a huge advantage usually. you have the advantage of knowing the game, of having experienced what it's like to be there, what it's like to have people vote you out, what it's like to play the game and to know the game. They have the same, if not more, advantages that that fans have going into the show, because they know the ins and outs because they've been there. So there are a lot of advantages to this, and we usually see them do really well. So I think that's why we're sort of dubious of these mixed seasons, because it usually leads to a similar outcome.
Alex,
if Michael Scoopin can make it work for him, anyone can.
yeah, well, he's crafty. Alex, do an impression of me on finale night when James and Nicole are in the final two.
Oh! Why did I agree to do this? I could be at home podcasting right now.
I could be talking about
Trying,
millennials
though.
and Gen Xers right now.
Truly, darkest timeline. What am I doing here?
I have to conduct myself as a professional when not be having a tantrum when I go do the show. Like,
Yeah.
why didn't you take Paul to the end? Okay.
I didn't really think about it.
What the hell? Oh man. I don't know. All right. Miriam wants to know, whose kiss had more passion, Paulie and Meech, or Nakori?
It's not Nakori.
No.
Meech got dipped both times, and that was an innocent. That was a peck.
It's probably Paulie.
I'm gonna go with Paulie. Dude looks
Yeah.
like he throws unwanted tongue every now and again. I get that vibe.
Yeah. All right. A couple more questions. Logan Elliott says Nicole and James both have a lot of pull in the jury house. I think Nicole does have a lot of pull, from what I understand. Paul has had a great season, but can he win against either of them?
It's the $1 million. It's the $500,000 question right now. Truly, it absolutely is. And yeah, I mean, that's why I threw the Godfrey comparison out there. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Paul could get there and lose. And the fans, I don't think the bulk of them would like it. But this is kind of the nature of the game now. The jury being sequestered, the jury not really being allowed to talk too much or at all, really, unless the cameras are on. The questions being asked on the last night when people pretty much already made up their minds. Like, this is kind of the nature of the game now, and people need to find a way to kind of make their point before finale night now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This is from, yeah, this is a good question from Ian Fernsey, who said, if you're looking for a man for Zakiya, you may not have to look far. Is Taran single? Taran, would you date Zakiya after the show?
No.
No. Why?
Nightly, is Taran single? Question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most people are already, understanding why, but
Taran,
I think
you seem like a cool guy. I would totally party with you. If you want to be Eskimo cousins with me, like my brother Cody. Is it brother or cousin?
it's brother, isn't it?
If you want to be
Maybe it's
Eskimo cousin-in-laws with me, Taran, after the show, I will understand it. And then you could come down to the Jersey Shore, and then you could party with me and my brother Cody.
Yeah, call me crazy. I don't have a huge amount of interest in that, so I think I'll probably end up just passing.
That me and Mama C will light the barbecue, and then we can have you come down, and then we'll have a party, and my brother Cody and Derek, they'll all come down, and then it'll just be one giant bromance.
It'll be a California family gathering. You can meet my Uncle Austin. Austin, California.
Some wings. Yeah. Chris Frick says, in BB14, Brittany admired Dan's great gameplay in the jury, but still voted for Ian to win. Do you see a similar case with Day?
Maybe with James, if she still feels close with James, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure I don't really know what the status of their relationship is right now. They were fairly close before they were separated, I guess, but I don't think has a rooting interest for James in the same way that Brittany had a rooting interest for Ian.
Talks cheap, Alex.
I also think that season really did have, like all season, on the feeds and stuff, we were hearing about kind of this overlying element of like, do we want returnee to win this season? And it really hasn't been a conversation this summer. So it's relative to the people playing and what they value or perceive as important. People in 14 didn't feel like it was fair for them to get beaten by someone who'd already gotten to play this game. People this season don't seem to have that mentality, and maybe it's just because there's no real Dan in the house, you know?
All right. Then finally, one last question. This is from Jay Steckley, who says, wouldn't Nat and Corey be a better showmance this season since they gave Julie the exact same answers about their current showmances? Yeah, I mean, if Corey can't even give a straight answer on what's the future of this showmance, this is not looking great for the future of Nikori, Taran.
She even coached him. She said, like, you'd better be nice to me when Julie asks this question because I know she's going to, which I do want to briefly side note. She did a lot of coaching to Corey. I mean, this is classic Nicole. She's thinking of almost everything. And she has given him arguments to say in the jury in her favor. She has been coaching him she coached, like I said, on what to say to Julie. She even was like, you should speak a certain way about me when you get to the jury. Like it's very interesting to see because like I think a lot of people are underestimating what Nicole has been capable of this entire season, and I think this is just another example of the fact that she is really thinking long term and of more angles than some other players are thinking of, which is really interesting to me because
Alex, that's
other
a very
people
good point that Corey could get to the jury house and then start with people like, Nicole played it. Oh my gosh, is that Netflix? Do they have? Oh my gosh, is that Airbud Santa? Oh my gosh. Oh okay. All right.
God, golden retrievers and Christmas.
Yeah.
You'd never get them away from the screen. Yeah, no, I do think that that's possible, and I also think that we can't count on Corey to like go in there and like change people's minds because who really, besides Paulie, who really had like a good working relationship with Corey in that jury? He spent most of his time hanging with Nicole in the bed, so there's not a lot of people in there that are like, oh, I really want to hear what Corey's perspective is on all this.
Maybe Mr. Jenkins.
And I wasn't saying that it was necessarily going to be like super effective, but I liked to see that she thought of it, right? Where nobody else has this entire season.
Okay, let's do one last question. One more. Brendan Fitzpatrick said, not that I think so, but is there anything James could say in a final speech for him to win the game? Any votes for him? Well, I think that there certainly is a scenario where James can win the game. Taran, what does that look like where James is going to win? So obviously it starts with Natalie, and then Natalie plus Big Meech, and then who else is going to be in this James camp? Bridget?
It looks like Bridget might be there. And
Nat
then
Meech, Bridget, and then they pull in Davon.
Potentially. I don't know how solid Davon is, but if it's James versus Nicole, then I think James probably has Paul and Victor as well, which probably puts him over the edge there. If it's James versus Paul, then that might be a little trickier. He probably needs Paulie and Zakiya, which means that he needs to make sure Corey doesn't convince Paulie and Zakiya that James has done nothing. So I think James might actually have a better shot against Nicole at this point, but it's so hard to tell. I don't know.
Should be interesting.
What James really needs to do, he needs to get to Final 2 and then just get up there. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've been playing the character of James Hewling for the last 2 years, and it has all been an act. I am a Rain Man. Like, just go off. Wow. That's what he needs to do.
That would be something. Alex, 2 weeks from tonight, you know what that is.
Yeah, you know me.
BBOTT. The countdown is on. I don't know how we're gonna have a Big Brother next 7 days and the finale, and then start with BBOTT. I don't understand how this is all happening so quickly.
It's crazy. It's like they haven't even released the cast yet, and they're gonna go into the house in 2 weeks, and it's really strange. It's really strange to think about, and I can guarantee you that at least half of this cast is going to be very upset when they find out that another season is starting in 7 days.
Oh, I can't wait to break the news. I can't wait. Like, what do you mean that there's going to be another season that's going to be on in a week? I have to get my 15 minutes of fame like my brother Cody. So
Corey's going to be pissed. You know, my friend, I know a guy, Clay, who was able to sell a lot of T-shirts based on his showmance last season after the season was over.
Corey T-shirts out
and
there.
I feel like I've not been given the same opportunity. It's not fair.
It's not fair. So Big Meech is going to be the most pissed, I think, out of anybody. So then when we get to that, though, at what point will the BBOTT people be sequestered, Taran? And will we have to watch 10 weeks of live feeds of like, so who do you think won? Who do you think won?
Yeah, that's interesting because you have to imagine they're going to sequester them before the finale, right? Because like it would be crazy not to, but yeah, it'll be really frustrating if they're constantly talking about the season that happened a week ago and they don't know the ending.
Yeah, because you would think that they would go into sequester before the finale of Big Brother 18, just because if it's going to start in a week, they need to edit that episode. And traditionally, that the people are in the house about 10 days before the premiere of the actual episode, before the live feeds come on. So when that first BBOTT episode airs, you got to figure that the last thing that happens in that first episode that we're seeing probably happens on September 24th or 5th. And the finale of BB18 is the 21st. So you got to think there's going to be some overlap, Alex.
Yeah, and not only that, but, you know, we know that, you know, obviously we know because especially this summer when we kind of found out a bit about the returnees ahead of time, we know what the time frame really looks like. They're usually in a hotel for a couple weeks before even that. So, yeah, sequester is usually a much longer process. And, you know, you would think that it might have started or it might be starting. It potentially could have started now.
Do you think they'll let them watch a DVD of the finale?
That's an interesting question.
I hope so.
Yeah.
They're going to be standing on that stage getting ready to go in the house, and they're going to be like, oh, actually, there's some confetti over here that you haven't cleaned up yet.
Yeah, I do think that they will sequester them before the finale also, because I will not be surprised if on next Wednesday night in the finale we get a preview trailer for, because they're never going to have a better opportunity to sell BBOTT than they will on the live finale of like, hey, want more Big Brother? Check out these new 16 house guests, which are going to be starting 1 week from tonight on the BBOTT. I definitely think that we'll get some glimpse of at least like those things that they used to do a lot, where it's like, hey, I'm Jimmy. I'm an astronaut.
Calling it now, an astronaut will be on BBOTT.
Jimmy, astronaut named Jimmy.
Literally over the top.
Hey.
The astronaut.
I'm Louie, and I'm an Uber driver. Look at me. I'm going to drive my way to $250,000. That's one big tip. So I think that'll be very exciting to see how it's all going to play out. So much new stuff to explore here on the podcast. All right. What was the hashtag? A winner spot that we stumbled onto? Hashtag winner spot in order for good karma for Paul in his lucky spot.
Oh, okay.
Is that right? Winner spot or lucky spot?
They both sound a little dirty.
That's even all the better. All the better. Okay. All right. Some people are asking for the pelvis kiss also.
Yeah, I couldn't get my mind off of that one, but
all right. Wow.
Visuals for the win.
Yeah. All right. Pelvis kiss it is. All right. But good luck for Paul in the winner spot all week long. All right. So we've got so much coming up here on the podcast. Of course, we mentioned last night that the Corinne brutal cast assessment is up on robbinswebsite.com. I'm also going to have one other Survivor podcast before we got one left in the tank for the preseason of the Millennials and the Gen Xers. Mike Bloom is going to join me for our first ever off-season feedback show, where we're going to be taking your voicemails on all of your feedback to all of the preseason coverage that we did, the off-season coverage that we did, anything grab bag, Millennials, Gen X stuff that you want to talk about. Leave us a voicemail, rob@website.com/voicemail. Mike Bloom and I are going to record that tomorrow. We'll have that up for you on the website on Friday morning. Plus, we'll be back on Friday night for some bonus coverage of the Friday night episode of Big Brother, all here on Rob Has a Website. Plus, much, much more on the RHAP ups and on post-show recaps. So be on the lookout for that. Plus, tonight is the penultimate episode of Mr. Robot for season 2. So Josh and Antonio will have coverage of that as well on the post-show recap. So thanks so much to Scott St. Pierre behind the scenes. So much coming up here. Can't wait to get into it all 1 week from tonight. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.